Today is an exciting day. I'm going to start building my Oz Goose. So I've got the plans here, boat designed by Michael Storer, and got my supplies here to get started at least. Some epoxy and some fiberglass, not a lot of fiberglass actually used. And then most importantly, I got my plywood here. So we got 6 sheets. I've got 2 6mm, so 5 plies, and then 4 4mm. So lengthwise, they're actually 2.5 long. And the height, 12-20. This is my build space here, under the carport. Got the mats down there to protect the plywood. So this is going to be okay for winter. And then I've got my workshop right here. So the very first step to mark out the grids, so we can get the shape of the side panels. So this is a line for the bottom of the boat. Got the batten clamp down to the correct points. Just with little nails at each point. And this front part is actually flat. And then there's a diagonal there, the very front of the bow. Got a new jigsaw blade. The one on the left is the existing one. It should probably rip through this plywood. This is a nice fine scroll bit. Should be good. I've got a series of boatish shaped pieces of wood. There's 2 pieces of plywood. So you use about 1.5 pieces for the length of 1.5. So this is the number 1 panel. And I've cut roughly to the line, but I need to now plane up to that line. And then the rest have all been rough cut. And so tomorrow I'll stack them all together and then plane them all, so then they're all exactly the same because they got planed at the same time. Here we go. I've planed up to the line, so all 4 sheets are now exactly the same. I realised that I stuffed up a little bit yesterday when cutting out the sides of the boat. So on the plan, these end pieces are supposed to come off the same second piece, but I cut them into 2 pieces. So now I'm kind of down 1 piece to do the rest of this stuff. Anyway, I went on the computer and just marked it out. So this fail zone is where I've already cut stuff out of, but there is enough space and it can work as an alternate layout. So I'm gonna have to follow my plans for the rest of it. Okay, here we go, ready to mix up the epoxy. There's a resin and hardener. It's a filling powder. And so the first job is to coat and then glue the bulkhead and transom parts. This is the glue up here. The transom's under there. Strip across there. Strip on the other bulkhead down there. And this one here too. Just glued up this cleat on one of the side panels. And I've got 3 more to go. One more on this one. It's got to go on top of that edge. I don't have enough clamps to do them all at once. And then there's 2 more side panels, which this bit will basically be the gunnel on those. This is an important job. When the epoxy's dried a bit, you scrape off the excess. It's much easier to clean it up. This is the sharpened stick. It's like peanut butter. So here is the overall size of the boat. I've got 1 sheet of ply. It's 2.5 long by 1.2 something, 4 foot. And there's another little piece here as well. It's about the size of it. I've got boat bits everywhere, so I'm pre-coating the panels. So these are the inside parts that are going to be hard to get to later. So there's 2 insides there, and another 2 inside parts there. A few things to glue up. If I get to it, I'll glue up this seat part. These are the panels these are the inside faces of the panels that are going to be hard to coat later. So once this is done, the next part will be assembly. I just did way too much in one batch of epoxy, so I've glued half of the center case, glued that piece onto that pad onto the back of the bow transom and given it one coat. This is a seat, so I've glued up the cleats onto the seat. And then I also did one coat on all of these. So these are the inside faces, and I'll need to do another coat of these. It's so tacky, still a bit wet. We got the base of the boat here, masked up, ready for 3 coats of epoxy. And I'm going to be busy today because I've got one side here and another side here. So they're all going to need 3 coats of epoxy. This has now got 1 coat of epoxy on it. A bit thin in the middle there, but that's alright because we're going to do 2 more. Wet on wet, so we just get all this stuff to dry till it's tacky. I've got to spread out everywhere here. And the system's not working very well, is it? This is the rudder box glued up. And these are more panels. These will be the inside faces of the cockpit. It's been masked off there so I can do the fillet along there. Forgot to do it on that one, but I'll just have to sand that back so it adheres. And then this is the center case, centerboard case. Also glued up. This is the mast base, the 2 holes. We've got the sandwich here of ply and wood. And so you've got 2 options for the mast. If you're watching this video, you probably already know what an Oz Goose is, but for anyone not familiar, the Oz Goose is a 12-foot sailing dinghy designed by Michael Storer, specifically intended to be easy to build, but also a boat with great performance and flexibility. I am a bit of a DIYer, but I'm no boat builder. And before this project, my sailing experience was mainly 4 or 5 times out on dinghies, so it's an ideal project for a novice in both areas. So here I'm doing the final preparation on the panels. After epoxy coating the panels, they'll have a glossy finish that isn't flat. So basically I'm sanding them while they're all still individual parts, as it's much easier to do this before construction. Today is exciting because I should be able to get the boat into a 3D state. So out here I've actually got the base, and in here is my IKEA flat pack boat, made up all the panels and various parts. So rudder box, center case box, transoms up here, the seat. This is for the mast. So I'll be putting all those together today. This is stitch and glue construction, so I'm marking out and drilling holes for the cable ties. The cable ties just need to be strong enough to hold the shape, and later everything will be bonded with thickened epoxy. There are no permanent metal fasteners in the boat hull itself, and the cable ties will be either removed or buried in epoxy. Fortunately, due to the square boxy shape, there isn't much bending required. The main challenge is just getting everything square. The plans have 2 options to construct the boat, either with framing or epoxy fillets. I use the epoxy fillet method, and you'll see this a bit later in the video. This does mean that prior to gluing up, the boat is quite flimsy, but you can brace it temporarily with pieces of wood to keep the shape. Okay, we're part way through putting it together, so got the tank sides in and the bulkheads, and the bow transom and the stern transom. And next is going to be the actual sides of the boat, the panels there, and then eventually that's the bottom, it's got to go on. But everything's cable tied in, and it's kind of flimsy now, but the cable ties will definitely hold it for now until we get the fillets on it. So my plans with this boat is to learn to sail and then do some bigger adventures. Mostly I'm interested just in cruising and then doing some overnight camping raid type stuff. Alrighty, so I've got the whole boat cable tied together. Then I put the bottom on at some point, so I've got to get it out of here and flip it, and then I can start drilling the holes and cable tying the bottom on, ready for it to be filleted and glued together. So I managed to flip it with the help of Beck and Anna. And then next I've got to get the base on. I've actually got something that looks like a boat at the moment. It's held together by tape and cable ties. So all the panels have been made up and everything's held together at the moment. And I've just started what they call filleting. So there's epoxy glue in each corner. So that's just been done. Now I have to do every other join in the boat and the inside and outside of these panels. It's a pretty safe boat because these two compartments here and over there will be sealed and there'll be buoyancy. And that'll be the seat where you sit on the side here. And this is where there'll be a little seat in the middle and the center case here. And obviously the rudder's attached to the back there. This deck here we covered over, and then there'll be holes and extra blocks of wood in there for the mast. And the mast will go up there at the front. So I've just done the fillet. It's going to be visible on the inside of the boat. Pretty happy with that. Very fiddly. At least that one's easy to access. So still got to do filleting across the back of there, and then also on this side here, and the bulkheads. So I'm ready to start putting the top pieces on, the deck on the front, and then the side panels. Also coating some parts today in epoxy. This is a tiller extension, just a piece of wood really, hanging from up there. And the center case will be glued next. This is a mast partner that's got some epoxy on the bottom. I need to put another coat on that and then hopefully glue it in later today as well. What I'm doing here is dry fitting the center case. So I actually made holes, you probably can't see them, through the middle so I can see it on the bottom. And I'm just working out my clamps, and it's just going to have this here. So like everything should be square. It's looking pretty good. So it's much easier to do that before I actually mix any epoxy or start gluing things and work out how everything's going to go. And then I'll have to have some weight on here to push it down. Alright, it's bloody pissing down today, but I'm gluing the deck on here, so I've just put a heap of thickened epoxy on there. I've got the side panels and coating the bottom of them. Got the butt straps attached there, so I'll flip over later. So I've got that. Then I need to get that. That's the bow there, that's got to go on there. So the other side of this is being pre-coated and ready to go. It's today, fun in the rain. Okay, so the bow deck is just sitting there, and then we're going to clamp it down using these little plywood pads and screws. So I had a few of them in there as a pilot to start with. So I'm going to just put a bit of pressure on like that. Here's the fun part. I've got to cut the center case slot out. I've just drilled the hole. Hope it's in the right spot. And then use the router, the flush trim bit, cut out the hole. Okay, that went pretty well. Got a nice slot. the right spot. Now I'm ready to actually coat the bottom of the hull and also glass it. So you could put one coat of epoxy, get this glass tape on all the chines and transom joints, and then do 2 more to make a total of 3 coats of epoxy on the base. It's a fun process of mixing epoxy. Gonna mix it really, really well. Actually get it all off the sides and the corners there. This is 200 grams of epoxy because I'm coating the hull, so I need a fair bit. Probably need to mix up some more after this. I always use the scales, and I've got the exact hardener and resin quantities there, so I can just pour it out and I don't have to be exact on the first pour, and then I can just add the hardener in for whatever I ended up putting in for the resin. Doing the initial coat of epoxy on the raw wood is very satisfying. As you push it around with a plastic scraper, it goes a long way. Applying the glass tape is a bit more fiddly, as is most epoxy work, not to mention the mess if you're not careful. The time-lapse footage is a bit deceiving, as you need to work on the epoxy schedule. There's a lot of time waiting for it to cure, so you end up splitting work across multiple sessions. Alrighty, so here's 2 coats of epoxy on the hull and the glass tape. So I'll just wait till this is tacky and an hour or 2, and then I'll do the last coat. That'd be awesome. Then I'll be ready to paint the bottom. Now I've got the 3rd coat of epoxy on the hull. It's getting a bit late, so I'm doing it under lights, which is good because I can see all the streaks and stuff. This little guy's decided to land on it, and he's still kicking. And I've got the rudder box there, and over here is the actual tiller. The undercoat is an epoxy 2-part, hardener, resin, and then the top coat I've got some blue top coat and white top coat. The blue is for the underneath and the white's for the top, and then I've got the clear top coat to go on the spars and part of the interior of the boat to keep some of the wood look. There's a lot of solids in the bottom of this. It's really stuck in there. It's going to be fun to mix that. Here we go with 1 coat of undercoat primer on. I'm not sure, I might have watered it down too much because it's kind of thin, but it does look like how other videos look online of using this product, so have another coat in an hour or 2. So I did 2 coats of undercoat yesterday. I've sanded it a bit to try and get a bit flatter. It's kind of a bit orange peely, which I'm not sure if it's normal or if it was too hot yesterday. But I think I definitely put 1 more coat of undercoat on after sanding to get a semi-decent surface. Working with this top coat was a pleasure, as it's water-based and covers really well. I really love this blue colour. It's a bit more intense than I was expecting, but it came up great. So yeah, if you're thinking of building an Oz Goose, it's pretty easy. You just need basic tools. Although I do have a table saw and router, they're not essential. Of course the costs add up. I'm sure you could do it on more of a budget if you wanted to. Really, you're doing it to enjoy the building process and the satisfaction of sailing something you constructed with your own hands. Now I'm wondering about my colour scheme, because the plan is actually to put white on the decks. It actually looks quite good, just with the raw wood. But I wasn't really planning on that, so there's plenty of floors, like there's paint, and it could be fared off better. There's this join here, there's a join there, so I think I still will have to paint it, but actually looks quite good. I think it'll still look good with the inside parts in the wood. I'm varnishing the cockpit today, so I've got the boat up on the side here, so I can just kind of roll it in like this. And I guess I think I'll set it down flat once I've got the coat on, so it kind of all sits nicely. At least it'll all run in the same direction it's going to run. Varnish goes on pretty easily, so do a couple more coats. Should look nice. And then the decks, I've got to do them with white. So just the cockpit will be varnished. Deck's white and the bottom blue. I've just sanded this undercoat back, and all I need to do to finish the boat is two, three, four, however many coats of top coat on the decks. Then she's done. So I managed to find some decent quality wood to make the spars out of, mast and boom and yard. So that would be good. But it's a stinking hot day, so I'm not going to do anything today. Alright, so I'm gluing up the mast now. So I've previously cut it, so it's going to be box section. So I've previously cut these staves here, so they narrow off to a taper at this end, and then there's going to be the other sides of it. So I've got the blocking in here and the end of the mast, and there's going to be some more blocks up spaced along there, and then I'll have to glue it to these pieces, which also need a thickness down or rip down in the table saw. Alright, she's all clamped up and glued now, so just leave that for a bit longer, and then you've got to attach the sides to it. Now I've glued the top and bottom staves onto the kind of the ladder frame structure, and then I'll just come along with the flush trim bit on the router and trim that off and clean up. So the master's almost done. Alright, it's going to be a 40-degree day, so I've got out early-ish. I've finished kind of shaping, sanding the mast, so it's looking pretty good. Now, let's see how much this big boy weighs. Now this belt sander is kind of overpowered. And I just took a chunk of my shirt out. But it is great for, like, don't really want to touch any plywood or finished surfaces or anything like that. But it's great for just getting wood down that was absolutely caked in epoxy and with this filler stuff in it. Anyway, I'll smooth it all out. So this is half of of the boom, and then I need to put the other panel, so it's a hollow boom. So pretty lightweight, 10mm, and then the thin plywood. Here's all the spars being varnished today. Probably a bit of a warm day to do it, but got them all there. Just had their first coat, so a few more coats to do on them. They're looking good. Here's all the spars with about 5 coats of varnish on them. This is the rudder all glued up. Glued this morning. It's filling. Dry, but it'll be dry in the morning, then I can start planing into shape tomorrow. Okay, this is the rudder here, the blank for it. It's all been glued up and flattened a bit. And then this is the centerboard. Same thing. And you can take all these clamps off now because it's dry and ready to flatten out. And then use the templates to shape the edges. This is the mock-up of the rudder. So there's the rudder box there that will fit onto the actual rudder. Still needs to be shaped properly. And the tiller, I'm just going to go and glue on the end there so it doesn't split or anything. The rudder gudgeons, they're made from pure gold, or at least they're priced accordingly. but they go on there a bit further down there, and then this piece of wood's also got a glue on there, and the pin for that as well. The foils are also getting white. They kind of looked okay in timber, but the wood wasn't that anything special, and I think they look better with with the white. So I'm gonna paint them today as well. These are some of the bits I need to do the rigging. There's lots of rope, bits and pieces. Now, just future note for self, these three are the high quality Dinghy. This is like lesser quality, cheaper stuff, not name brand. They came with the sail. This is also a proper Dinghy rope. This is just Telstra rope to add class to it. This is rope from Aldi. Here we are with the sail laid out, ready to actually rig up the sail to the boom in the yard. Alrighty, I've just rigged it up for the first time. Don't really know what I'm doing, but I think I've basically got everything good. So I've got it nicely stuck in there. It's tied onto the tiller extension. Got the traveller here. And I've got the main sheet threaded through here. Maybe it might be a bit long. Can't put the centre board down obviously here. And the ropes here. She's up there. And the halyard's set up there. So yeah, really happy it's all done. This is a simple dolly system I've set up, so just an axle kit and a couple of solid wheels, 10-inch. At the moment just using this to hold it. I've got the bed frames, bits of carpet, and they're notched onto the front and the back there, and then two straps and another one at the front here just to hold it there, so I think it's good. Okay, this is my second time out on the Goose on Orovale Lake. It's supposed to be 10 knots today, and the wind springs up and it keeps dying. I'm trying not. I launched from over there and it is pushing me back to shore, so I found it really difficult to launch without it pushing me back in, but I did manage to paddle out and do it. So now I'm just slowly drifting away from my launch site. I've got it reefed, so hopefully I can get it sailing again in a minute. Now it's like glass. Come on, let's have some wind. Yeah, paddleboard paddle works really good. Okay, here's the Oz Goose with 4 on board. What could possibly go wrong?
I don't.
Oh, Mum's paddling, look.
No. Mum's paddling.